Welcome to the Lesson 2 songs. Today we're going to cover Oh When the Saints Go Marching In. It's a whole lot of fun to play because the hands, they call and answer. They go back and forth. So you play a melody and it answers back, goes back and forth. It's a whole lot of fun to play. So what we do on these recordings, I do it in performance tempo, so you really get the feeling for the song. And then I do it in practice tempo, slow. I'll do the duet, so you have something to play with and make it fancy. And then I'll play the duet part by itself. So you'll hear it, and I'll share with you a little bit more about how to use it in a minute. Let's jump right into the song. So here we go. Oh, when the saints. So those are 3 pickup notes. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so it sounds tricky. It's fun to play. It's a little tricky to work out. One thing to kind of keep in mind is that even though the voices are jumping back and forth between the 2 hands, there is something on almost every beat. So the notes are, if somebody who's listening, bum, 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 they're hearing something on every beat. And if you can figure out how to get that like ping pong thing going back and forth and keeping it steady, it's easier to feel the song. So one way to do that, if you're working on your own, is to do the song in little bits. So you can do it like a measure at a time, and you turn it into like this little echo game that just loops until you feel really comfortable. That's the trick. When you feel comfortable, you go on to the next, and you build it like little building blocks. You don't have to do it all in one day or even in one sitting, but if you do it consistently that way over a number of days, it comes together for you. So, okay. So, Oh and the Saints, a practice tempo. I count in a full measure, and then I count the rest that you see, which is measure the beat 1. And then the song starts. You listen to it a few times, you'll catch it. But it's actually 5 beats to get us in because of those pickup notes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so from here we do the duet. I've mentioned this before, but if you're seeing this for the very first time, it's worth just touching on briefly. You know, when you learn to play a song, sometimes you think you know it, and then you find out, oops, I didn't know it as well as I thought I did. And sometimes that happens when you actually go to play it for somebody else. Ooh, not so much fun. So a fun way of making that song really super strong for you is to play it with the duet part. So the duet is independent, and it kind of, in a way, it forces you to focus more on what you learned, but then you also have this chance to follow with the rhythm and the speed of something else, and it just it expands your world. So it's such a value, and when you have a friend who can do it, you guys can play together. So it's worth spending the time, even if it's a little more challenging. And if it doesn't appeal to you, you know, just skip it. So in any case, what I do is I sort of do a performance, but in this particular case, I put the duet part with the right hand melody, right? And then when you play, you can do both hands of the piano with the duet part and it'll work, just so you know, okay? All right, so this is the melody with the duet part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay? You hear me whispering some of the beats. Now that's kind of what's going on in my head, just so you know. It's going in my head all the time. All right. So in order to make this work, I have to play the melody line first. So to bring you in on the melody line, and then I jump over to the duet part. So for those first 4 notes, I'm going to play with you. Otherwise, it's way too confusing. All right? So I count us in 5 beats, I play the melody, and then I'll jump to the duet part for the rest of the song. Okay? All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, just one little last thing. When you try to play with a recording, the recording is not going to change with you nearly the way that a live person can, because the live person can feel your beats, right? So it's a way of getting you out there. If you're a little frustrated, I can't match the recording because it changes and I don't know when it's going to change. Part of that has to do with starting to get really strong with your beats inside. And another thing, just so you know, when you play with a recording, it's a bit tricky, but worth the effort. When you go to play with somebody else, it's actually easier as long as both of you have a sense of where the beats are. And that's part of making the song strong. So if you try it and it's too frustrating, this one particularly, because there's such a long time before the next voice comes in, right? And if it doesn't match up, don't sweat it too much. But it's out there. I included it because this is such a fun song to play. And it works so well with 2 people. So anyway, just needed to throw that out there in case you get a little frustrated with this one. Thank you for joining me. The next bit for lesson 2 is actually playing by ear. So if you're a play by ear musician, the next thing is designed specifically for you. And then the last video for this lesson has to do with learning how to make up your own music. So you can check out either of those if you want to, even if you're here mostly just to play by reading the notes. Okay? You can do whatever you want. Take care.